Alright, so this video, I'm going to turn this G10 van hood into the Best Van Award for the 2024 Ratrodtober car show in McKinney, Texas. Be there. It only cost $1 to play. I've got $1.75 in quarters. Got a few things I'm going to try and take off on this so that maybe I can lightweight it just a little bit. I already took the hinges off of it. That's really about it. But I'm going to take this, I don't know, latching piece off and this over here. Maybe that'll lighten it up a little bit more. I think that's really all that needs to come off, and then I'm going to wet sand it, clear coat it. It's probably all I'll get done during this session. We'll make whatever we do next part of the same video. Okay, so I found this hood in an old junkyard outside of kind of Austin area, I guess. Not real close to Austin, but outside of the Austin area. Actually did a trade with the guy that has the place for some sign work that I did for him. I've got some more sign work coming up to do for him. But I got to rummage all over this old junkyard, and I found this, and it's awesome, and it's perfect for this trophy. I should have taken a good before on this. But here's a before of that side and an after on this side. And what I'm really trying to do is just make it smooth. I want the patina on here. There was more paint on this side than this side. We'll see what this side does. Kind of interested to see. But this feels really good, so it feels good to paint on. That's what I'm after. Might as well tell you all the process here. Starting off, spraying with just water. And I started trying with 600 grit. Really didn't do enough. Went down to 320. So I'm sanding with 320. And then I'm using, whenever I clean brushes and everything else, I save the rags. I let them dry out on my floor and I pile them up for whenever I need to do dirty jobs, which is what this is. And I'm using those to wipe all that rust off and then spraying it with some spray away because that kind of dries faster. So that I can test it, and then I'm hitting it with the microfiber after that, because it seems like when I wipe it down with the blue paper towels, it's getting fuzz off that I can fill, and I want to fill for spots that still need to be sanded. And honestly, I think I got it pretty good this time. Good enough. Again, remember, we want it to be kind of patina. It's for a rat rod show. It's got to have that look to it. But I think we're ready for the next part. Alright, I've moved this a little closer to my wall because after I spray this tonight, I'm going to take off. There's other vehicles and stuff inside the shop over on the other end, so I'm getting this as far away as I can. I'm wiping it down with some wax and grease remover. It's pretty clean right now, but it's just a safeguard. So I'm going to do that. And then I'll get the next product to show you guys. Alright, I want to show you the surface on this before we put clear coat on it. If you look, sanding it actually brought some of the white out that was covered up in rust. And I've got a little bit of the metal showing, not too much. I kind of like that. I didn't want to take all the rust off, but I wanted to smooth the texture of the rust out. And that's what we've got, and it's actually kind of neat to me to see how much more white showed up. But as you can see, it's really dull, and I don't want it glossy, but I don't want it totally matte. So I got semi-gloss here. Can't get the camera to, there we go. Just from the hardware store. My thoughts are is that this project is going to hang on a wall, probably inside of someone's shop, hopefully. But I want to show you some of my techniques that I use whenever I spray something like this. So after I give it a good shake, I like to go and kind of hit the edges. After I hit the edges, on all sides, then I come through and I start working my way across the surface in lines that overlap. Follow the instructions where it says stayed, I think, like 8 to 12 inches away or something. But I like to work it so that you see all the dust that comes off, so that it's pushing away from the area that I already painted. For me, I've found over time that if I paint into what I've already painted, I end up with more texture. This seems to be one way to help eliminate some of the texture. This first coat, kind of a light coat, I'll end up coming back with more coats. That's also part of it. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Right, I've stepped outside the shop. As you can tell, I'm working at night. I'm gonna let this dry overnight, let it dry 24 hours or whatnot. I'll come back and wet sand it again, and I'm gonna end up using the rest of the can on it. Just get a good thick coat of clear on it. Again, it's a semi-gloss. My thought on stuff, and I'll probably have said it in the what do you call it, overdub, talking over it and all, but put it on to where it almost runs on that second coat. First coat, kind of a dust coat. I find with this stuff, if I do my second coat to where it's almost running, come back, wet sand it, do the same thing later on, dust coat, almost a runny wet coat. Smooths out pretty good, and it's pretty nice to paint on, and that's what we're going for. I don't want to have to buff anything out. I'm not going for like a show quality finish of anything. I'd be using 2K clear if I was. Just going for sealing it up, giving us a good surface to paint on, and kind of bring out some of those colors and stuff that are in the rust and patina. So now that we've got second coat on, things were sanded beforehand, everything's good enough for this project for painting, I'm getting ready to put my paper down. Start off by putting little pieces of tape out so I can roll my paper out, tape it down, and this paper is going to be for me to draw on. I'm going to figure the design out right here on the surface with the paper laying over the top of what we're painting on now. One thing that I like to do, because the paper does come off a roll when it rolls up, I like to flip it over, and whenever I lay it out, lay it so that if my tape does peel or anything, it's not going to roll up anymore. So I guess you'd say the roll part's facing towards the surface, allowing that roll to work with me instead of fighting against me and fighting against my tape. One of those things you figure out trial and error over time because you've made a ton of mistakes and fought it for years in the past. Just working smarter and not harder. Once the paper's all smoothed out, laying like I want it to and all, I like to use vine charcoal to start working out where my letters are going to be. As you see, I adjusted my paper there because it's easier than just erasing and recentering stuff because my letters were too far to the right. This is a real rough stage, but I like the charcoal because it makes it to where it's a movable and fixable stage. Nothing's really permanent this way. If you don't like something, just rub it off with your hand and start over again. It's malleable. If you followed the channel, you've seen it a bunch of times. I seem to be saying that a lot lately. But after I've got it drawn off and figured out like I want, I'm using Cerol paper. Nobody's corrected me yet on how it's pronounced. I wish somebody would, because I really don't know. But I'm using a ballpoint pen. That's my favorite thing to go over this with when I'm using Cerol paper. I can usually see where my lines are that I've already traced. Going through and tracing it. Remember to move your paper along as you go. Sometimes I get a little ahead of my paper and I have to come back and do it twice. But this is an easy way to do this. Go ahead and get through it. If you guys want to see more on that, there's plenty of other videos and stuff. You could probably do a search in my, video playlist feed. Like I said, fine charcoal for the win when it comes to drawing it off. Alright, quick baby tip here. Or at least just letting y'all know what I'm doing. I trace this off with the Cerol paper underneath it. Before I take the paper off, I'm going to go and I'm going to mark the edges of this, because when I'm done doing the leaf work, and probably even the outline, because I'm going to do a big drop shadow on this, I'm going to come back. I'm going to be lining up this portion right here where it's going to say Ratrodtober number 8, 2004. And I want to be able to line that up right. So I'm going right now, marking the edges of this before I lift it. That way later, I can just line it up exactly where it was. Got my brush all cleaned out in mineral spirits. Like to give it a good spin between my hands, get the mineral spirits out, and then I'm ready to paint. For anybody curious, I'm using a Mac. I think it's a Series 169, but I think this is a size 8. It's the biggest Mac 169 that I have. I think they make larger ones. I'm using Duck's gold size, the quick dry. If you see, I kind of made a little puddle whenever I put it down, and I'm kind of working back out of that. You don't want to work the size too much, but you want to work it enough to where it's a good thin coat that doesn't have like thick areas in it. That way when you go to lay leaf, all of it's kind of dried evenly and the same. And you can watch the brush strokes in this just melt out of it over time. It'll actually get kind of glossy. Uh, but you're going to do this and try to get, like I said, the thick areas out. You want it all to be the same consistency. That way when we lay our leaf down and we go to turn it and stuff, we don't have to worry about burning through the thick areas where the size hasn't dried when all the other sizes dried everywhere else. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. So something else that I've learned over time is I don't like having a whole bunch of gold leaf dust blowing all over my shop. So I've started using my shop vac whenever I'm doing this, dusting off the leaf. I'm using a duster that I got from Alpha 6 Corporation. I don't have any sponsors on this stuff. I just want to let you guys know what materials it is I'm using. Super duper soft. You can use like a makeup brush. Sometimes I use a cotton ball. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. There's no real one right way to do it. But there's different results that you're going to get from different stuff. Anyhow, dusting off the extra leaf here, sucking it into the shop vac, have a good filter and stuff in there because it'll blow dust out the little exhaust on it too if you don't have that taken care of. But this kind of burnishes it a little bit, not by putting any marks in it, smooths stuff out, gets rid of anything that didn't stick. You're going to end up working over it enough to where you get all the extra stuff off. Before we go to the next step, which will be engine turning. I'll do another video on engine turning, but something I wanted to show you that I did on this, I used a ruler to go across and establish a line first, so I could go straight up and down from that and keep all of my engine turns extremely uniform. After that, you want to clear your leaf, which I didn't show here, but after clearing my leaf, I went through with a really dark blue that I made because I thought it was a good contrast to the gold. And I started outlining my letters and creating the big drop shadow that's going to happen on them. And to continue going forward and telling you guys what materials and all I'm using, I am using one-shot lettering enamel for this. Added a little bit of high temp reducer to it, a little bit of chroma flow, and actually a little bit of clear. Not enough that really shows up in this, but sometimes I like to do that so that maybe I can get some brush strokes, knowing that the overall idea on this is kind of patina, but I really didn't put enough of it to where you could see too much, because I didn't want to patina the gold leaf. I still want it to look pretty nice. Alright, so last year I got to be a part of a team that did all of the trophies for Ratrodtober, and it was fun. Rooster Wrench Garage down in Houston built the trophies, and then me and him and Johnny C, who's down in Houston, and Dietrich Designs, I believe is what his site is, we all got together and painted or lettered on all the trophies and did some striping and stuff for them, which was really fun. And with that, I believe Rooster Wrench Garage, who built the trophies, kind of got to pick what the different categories were, or at least to some extent. At that show last year, one of the trophies that went to Best Van, because it's partially a van show, The only trophy that we had that they found that kind of fit, there was a Volkswagen trophy. I guess they were thinking like Volkswagen buses. Anyhow, the van guys weren't happy about that. Like, we're not a stinking Volkswagen, we're vans. So I thought, being a vanner, I'd come through and I would do the van trophies. And as I've talked to them and figured this out, I'm friends with the folks that run Ratrodtober. I'm going to be doing the van trophies from here on out. It's something I want to do. It's my way of contributing to the show. I'm not actually even going to be able to be at the show this year because I'm going to be out of state. But I wanted to do my part. And in that, spread the word too about vans at the show. See if we can get more vans at the show. There's a good group of vans that show up at this. Most of them from North Texas area, but it'd be cool to see a lot more show up from other places. We need to get more vans at car shows. Hopefully they're coming back more. It seems like they were a little bit a few years ago. I don't know, maybe it's died off, maybe it hasn't, but we need to pump it up. If y'all are out there, you're listening, go find a van, fix it up, build it, bring it to the show. There's folks from all over the place. If they're watching, if y'all are in Oklahoma, Arkansas, any of the adjoining states to us here in Texas, come to this show. Let's build it up. Let's make it something that people want to see. I did a little footage a little while back of some of the stuff going on with my show van, my vending van, not a show van at all. It's pretty rough looking. Y'all let me know in the comments if you'd like to see some more footage of where it's at. I've done quite a bit to it recently. And unfortunately, I think I'm probably going to end up selling my 76 Chevy van. So if you're interested in that, it's a shorty. Maybe let me know that in the comments too, and I can send you some. Enough ranting about vans. If y'all are watching this channel, it's probably not why you came here. Probably come here for paint. Going back to the painting stuff here. I've taken white, mixed a little bit of imitation gold with it, and again a little bit of clear. You can see a little bit of brush strokes and a little bit of transparency in here, and that's something that I am going for on this. Here's something else to note. I'm using a block letter here, and man, I have a lot of respect for block letters. I'm not as good as them as I'd like to be. I've honestly only been doing lettering and stuff for 4 or 5 years, playing with it. Kind of shied away from block letters a little more than I should, but I've really been trying to get better at them here lately. I like them. I think it's one of the best things to start off with. I've heard a lot of people say that. I've had some people tell me on watching stuff like this that they prefer putting tape at the top and the bottom. I didn't do that on this because of the gold leaf that's here. And I also kind of wanted to push my skills of trying to get a good crisp corners and stuff without using tape. I've been doing that a lot more lately. I like the looks of it without tape. I like it when it's not that mechanical looking. Personal thing. But again, I think it pushes me. You can see I'm rolling the brush as I get into the corners so that I stop with the tip of my brush in one corner and then do the other side and then come across and do the bottom. I am doing one side of the letter and then the other. I know there's people out there that are way better than me that don't have to do that. Works for me. I like it. Feel free to share tips in the comments, please. I haven't made mention yet of the fact that I did come through an airbrush over the top of my gold leaf with orange. It's just orange, one shot through the airbrush, reduced quite a bit. I reduce with low temp reducer. I was actually told by one of the one-shot people that's the best way to do it. Follow their advice. With that orange being on there, though, blue's the complementary color to that. And I really wanted that blue to make this pop a little bit more. So whenever I outlined all the letters, I outlined them in process blue. And I'm actually going through here and making some blingy kind of retro looking stars with that same process blue. Kind of helps the design overall where you've got these big giant shapes to have these linear looking designs added to it as contrast. I am using a dragonfly brush. These are the brushes that were designed by Ted Turner, the pinstriper, not the TV guy. Anyhow, these are great for turning on a dime, so that's why I was using them. And they're really great for having a good consistent line. I like these brushes a lot. Alright, before we see the final shots of that trophy, go to my website, jackflemingartistry.com, if you're interested in any merchandise. I am editing this from inside of my merch van that I take with me whenever I go to car shows. Come check it out and see me. If you see me at a car show, I have been working on the inside of it. Looks pretty rough on the outside, but I've got the fuzzy ceiling going on, the nice walls, shag carpeting. It's a work in progress, but they all are. Let's go check out that trophy. This is the part of the video where I tell you, if you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, or please in the comments let me know what you think of this video and what you guys would like to see for future videos. Click on one of the two videos that pops up to the right or the left, and hopefully I'll see you guys around at some shows or stuff. If you're a vanner, keep on vanning.